Welcome to the Unfiltered Path Podcast, where we explore life's journeys without the constraints of filters. In a world that is saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering our listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, the struggles, and the transformative moments that define us. Our mission here on the Unfiltered Path Podcast is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth, to be moved, to be inspired, and to discover that you are not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hey everyone, it's Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker.
Feeling stuck in your career? Overlooked by opportunities? Unsure of your next step? Maybe you're tired of spinning your wheels, struggling with clarity, feeling like you have potential but is constantly overlooked. I'm Jessica Visick, a certified professional career coach with nearly a decade of experience helping professionals like you achieve clarity, confidence, and success. Take Lexi, for example. She transitioned into a leadership role in brand marketing after feeling stuck for years. Or Rodney, who landed his dream job thanks to a standout resume we helped with that wowed his SVP. If you commit to the process, we will help you with measurable results. We've helped countless professionals transition to leadership roles, pivot into new industries, and feel much more fulfilled in their careers. Your dream career isn't out of reach. Let's make this happen together. Schedule your free consultation today at yourcareerpartner.net.
Here as one of your co-hosts of the Unfiltered Path Podcast, joined with my co-host.
Hi everyone, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. I'm an aerialist. That's a fancy term for performing suspended in the air. I'm also an educator, so I teach other people how to do it too. And I'm here with my co-host.
Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Duval, owner of Valued Productions. My company works to produce and implement video marketing strategies proven to make you more successful with your business, helping you turn strangers into clients. And we are joined with our wonderful guest today.
My name is Joe Philippon, and I'm the organizer for Lewiston Summer Fun and Films. And I'm also happen to be a detective for the Lewiston Police Department.
Exciting.
Well-versed.
Well-versed.
I get to see him in his creative space all the time. And let me tell you guys, he drives the cutest car. Can you tell him about the car real quick so you can envision what it's like seeing Joe around this event?
So new this past summer, we actually were able to get a golf cart. And this golf cart is to help logistically. Well, I would say this: there's a practical reasoning for it, and then I wound up getting the most impractical car. We have a lot of signage and stuff to move around to set up. So setup breakdown. And so I was like, you know what? If I just got this golf cart, I can save myself this hassle of picking up all these sandwich boards and lugging them back and forth to the trailer. So I'm going to get a golf cart with a bed. And then I started looking for a golf cart with a bed. And then I happened on Facebook to come across this 1940s styled golf cart. It looks like a very classic old police car. And then I was just like, all right, well, that's not practical. And then I started looking back, and then I'm like, I couldn't get over it. So I wound up getting the impractical golf cart that looks great, and it got all done up. Looks like a vintage black and white police car. We got an old school siren, red lights put on it, stuff like that. So it's really fun to have, not very useful for the event itself. And I'm still lugging the sandwich boards around by hand, essentially. But it's been a hoot adding it to the program. It's become like, we're always trying to have free, low barrier activities, and this golf cart, just not planned, is just one more thing to just have out on the field for people to engage with, sit on, whatever, jump around on. So it was pretty neat to add that last year, and we'll see how. And then maybe I'll have to get a longer trailer to get a golf cart that I can actually use for what I need it to do.
Oh, you just need an add-on to it. Got to get a trailer for it. Tell us a little bit about these events. I think it's amazing. I mean, I love the work that Danielle does in the community. I see her impact and I hear the stories about her impact. So I'm excited to learn more about what you do and all the impact that you make.
Yeah. Lewiston Summer Fun and Films, and if really the basis for it was, for a long time, I had been on the Lewiston Police Department's community resource team. And the charge of that back then when I started was it was about going out into the community, forming relationships, and also addressing issues, but with long-term solutions. Mm-hmm. Even though you're a patrol officer, one of the things that you're not is you have a radio, but you're not tied to that radio. So I don't have to worry about dispatch sending me to a call, and nor do I have only 5 minutes to give on something. But one of the things that, caught my attention while doing that was like, how can we come up with something different to engage the community? Because typically when law enforcement's interacting with the community, it's more like a classroom type setup, lecture based, where you have a cop in front of the room and then the audience or community members opposing, and then that type of back and forth. And that can be really good and ideal for a lot of situations. But generally speaking, it also requires people to plan on attending, to show up. It can be, very formal. And one of the benefits with Lewiston Summer Fun and Films is that it's complete opposite of all that. The real intention is that at minimum, what is that it was organized by the police department, by a police officer. And that's it. And whether you have good thoughts, positive thoughts or interactions with the police, or negative thoughts, at the end of the day, you're just going there and you're having fun. And maybe that's that icebreaker moment. And that's why that was my vision for Lewiston Summer Fun and Films, was just to have a casual interaction. The reason why it came to be actually just stems from going on vacation. And I know people, especially community members, can criticize municipal government and employees for going on trainings and leaving town and stuff like that. But one of the things that I always point out is like, you just never know what you're going to see, what you're going to get, and then how you're going to apply it. And, not that this was a training, but we had gone away for my honeymoon, and on our way back, we had stopped in Chicago for a couple of days. And so this is how the seed gets planted, is we had just checked into our hotel, then we crossed the park and went into the Millennial Park there where the Bean is, and an outdoor movie event had just ended. Mm-hmm. So there was this mass exodus of people walking by with chairs, stuff like that, and his families and stuff like that. And whatever, that was probably the initial seed getting planted, and it didn't mean anything to me at all at that moment. And then fast forward to January of 2016, my wife and I went on vacation, and we went down to Mexico to an all-inclusive resort. And one of the nights they had an outdoor movie set up, and they were playing The Martian. So we hadn't seen it yet. So we decided to go. And so it's all these chairs set up by the pool. And we show up, and it's really just my wife and I, and then a bunch of kids and whatever. So we're hanging out, and one of the things that the resort had done is they had set up a table of drinks and then a cooler that was filled with pre-filled bags of popcorn. And while I was just kind of looking around, whatever, I just kept noticing the kids going to the cooler, opening up that lid, reaching in, grabbing out a bag of popcorn, and then going about, but just the joy and excitement and all that. And it just got my head spinning. I was like, well, that's such a very simple exchange right there. And what if I could remove that cooler and just have that popcorn handoff be a cop handing that back, right? No contact, doesn't have to be anything more than that, but just how much that can mean. And so basically towards the end of that trip, that's my wheels were spinning. And when I got back to Lewiston, at the time it was Mike Boussier, he was the police chief. And I said, hey, this is what I want to do. And he's like, whatever, find the money, have that.
Facts.
And again, going out to why it's important to go out in the community. I mean, maybe this was at that time a good idea. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing. But I happened to go to a chamber breakfast, and I just wound up meeting a guy named Steve Bostek, who was like one of the managers for the branch in Auburn. And him and I didn't know him at all. And we just started talking, and I just said, hey, well, this is one of the things I want to do. And he's like, I like that. Here's my card. Call me. And sure enough, TD Bank was our first money sponsor for the event. And boom, 2016, we launched. So when it comes to engagement and stuff like that, I mean, it's partnerships is what made this program happen. I always credit, like, maybe I have ideas and maybe they are good ideas, but at the end of the day, I'm just an ideas guy. But it takes a whole community of support for anything that I've done to stand up. So
I love that. That's so essential. I love that you found a need to bring law enforcement and the community together in a positive way. And you thought, how can I make this a huge impact? And you just planted these little seeds. And then the universe just gave you what you needed to make happen. And that was 2016, 17. We're in 2025 now, Joe. That's
I know.
significant, impactful. I mean, think about the families and the impact that you've made with that one idea. Well, you and your wife had 100 kids run around you at all inclusive store.
It's truly brilliant.
Yeah.
I started working there as a balloon twister at that event, and it was amidst COVID. And it to this day, it was one of the most inspiring moments watching. And that's when there was so much chaos on TV and people pitting people against other groups of people. It just felt so overwhelming, and we all feel like helpless. We're just from a little town in Maine, like what do we really have to even relate to the news at times? So I'm just like, well, that's annoying. And so to be in that environment and just to see all walks of life, just come together and have a good time as a community is so inspiring. It really shifted a lot of internal perceptions I had. I think like what went back to your original why, it was effective even for me. I think your line of work was just a height of topic at the time. And so just even for me, it was just really nice. It just resolved a lot of unnecessary noise that just wasn't really the voice I was looking for or that even my community has. And I remember one time it was so hot and I literally thought I was going to pass out because I am an aerialist and I was already doing aerial work during the day. And so at night I'm balloon twisting in extreme heats. And I wanted to like pause one shift and I looked over and all these men in full uniform were walking around with smiles, like little bubbles everywhere. He's so thoughtful about the scenery of the event, which I'd love to hear more about, but he has like bubbles everywhere. And then this year he had a hot air balloon and an aerialist and it's just so appealing. And I remember feeling so inspired by them being in full uniform and just showing up to be there for those kids and create that environment. And so I sucked it up and I finished my gig in the heat. And I remember like almost wanting to faint, like trying to find my way to sitting. And then I kind of gathered myself and left. I was super dehydrated that day. It was just one of those. And yeah, I was very inspired.
No,
That's
Very.
that's great.
awesome.
And
I
now I
think
drink
it
way more
comes
water before I go.
I think it comes too from being like a student of life, you know what I mean? And like having that like mind of, being always learning and like you said, Joe, like it may not be the thing that you implement right off, but it's the thing that planted the seed that starts the learning and like how you can start pulling it together and just like constantly be learning to get better. Like I think that's really cool.
No, it's just, I think you never know what you're going to use when you're going to use it. But I think that's the importance of, being out there, being willing to listen. One of the things that was really great when I was on a community resource team, it gave me an opportunity to really get a lot of perspective and learn the complexities of a lot of issues that the community faces. And one of the things I think that gets often lost is that police are part of the community, and we can also do more than just show up when invited. We can also be a convener, right? And in many ways, Lewis's
Mm.
Summer Fun and Films is a convener of bringing the community together, and I think that's really positive. The reality is, when it comes to Lewiston, obviously with our demographics, it can be very challenging, high poverty rate. So there's a lot of lack of opportunity in our community. And one of the things that I looked at when it came to Lewiston Summer Fun and Films is that it's the ability to provide something that's free and low barrier for everybody to attend. But I also really wanted it to feel people feel good about it. And to like something that Danielle is, it's neat for you to say that because you haven't shared that with me, but it's also what I really want the program to look good. And I'm glad that you picked up on the aesthetics. You know, we have raised and spent a lot of money on graphics, on banners, on tables and all this. But the main reason why I'm so finicky on that is I don't want people to feel like they're coming to a cheap thing. And it's about pride and ownership. So I want them to feel good, like they're going to an amusement park and it's special. I don't want them to come to Lewis the Summer of Fun and Films and them just feel like, oh, this hastily thing that was put together and just like, you know, so one of the things is like I really very much so focus on the visual aspects of it. That it's not nonverbal communication, and so it's refreshing. I'm glad that you've picked up on it.
Oh, for sure. My artist sees your art because I get to see you as a creative. Like you run this event, so you have to come from a creative mindset to accomplish a lot of it. And he's right, even right down to how perfect he puts all those stands he told you guys he has to go pick up. I mean, and I'm talking about large fields. He has to make look super interactive and not just like kind of empty. And he's successful every time. Rain has played very little factor. And the people that work the events show up and do their thing. And a lot of us are donating our time or, you know, things like that. The very contract work type of thing. And everybody shows up. And it's even pulled, you know, a certain type of work ethic out of me that I've been able to grow with. Because I've worked the event like 4 years in total. Yeah, and my artist absolutely sees what you do. It's aesthetically gorgeous. It does not feel like a free event, but you know it's a free event, but it's everybody's going.
Yeah.
And then just to, you know, again, during COVID, it just played such a huge role in all of our perceptions of what was going on. Because if we're just at home and we're just watching our TV and we're only interacting with our regular people, it's easy to get sucked into this idea of what other people are living or what things might be. And then so an event like that just really puts into perspective what the reality is, and we live here.
Yeah.
And it was just really impactful then, and now it's gorgeous. You guys must go. It's the best. I got to fulfill a creative dream, which was I got to perform Little Mermaid with a tail in a net in front of my community at the coolest event ever. Like it was just like bucket list, like huge check mark. Like creatively, that was just like something I really needed. Like it was just a dream come true for me. And my kids were front row just watching me. They're convinced I'm a superhero. You can't tell them otherwise. Like, you know, like I get to have them see me perform because a lot of times it's like paid events. So, well, not, but you know what I mean? Like closed off to other people. So a lot of times my kids don't even get to see me in that element. And this is just not only do my kids, but my friends' kids and, you know, people I've gone to school with, they're like, wow, this girl really did something with herself. You know, I get it. It's just the best. It really is. It's my fave.
Capturing that sense of wonder or having an environment where wonder can exist is impactful for kids. Absolutely right. And again, kids that don't have the same opportunities that even I had growing up, they don't see this or they don't get the exposure. One of the things that was shared with me several years ago is I had a father come up to me at one of the events and he just thanked me profusely. And what he explained to me was like, listen, you know, I have no money. We're really poor. This is summer vacation for my daughter. This is the only thing that I get to do with her.
That's amazing.
And so, I mean, if there's ever a charge, that's one of the things that I always keep in the back of my mind is that we're bringing everybody to this community, but not everybody gets accesses to what Danielle's to see these things or to go to these places that maybe even don't have high charges for admissions, but yet you still don't have that barrier with our program. So it's been really cool. One of the things that I've noticed, especially since day one to where we are at this year, and I'm sure Danielle can attest to this, is like usually we have our regulars, if you will, that go to the events. And then because we bounce around to different parks and locations throughout the city, sometimes geographically our audience can be linked to that neighborhood or whatnot. But one of the things that really stuck out in my mind this year, which I I think is wonderful and exactly what I want to see us be as a melting pot is like wherever we were this past summer, I would say we hit every demographic was present in our community. White,
Mhm.
black, immigrant,
Oh.
non-immigrant, you name it, rich, poor,
Mhm.
white collar, blue collar. And generally, obviously, our events are catered towards families. But I actually had a few elderly people, seniors, come to the events without their no grand, just them to just partake and sit there and watch the movie, which is a demographic that the program is definitely not necessarily designed for. And I would not have expected that, but I had a few of them. So, I mean, I think in terms of frequency and volume, there's not too much, there's nothing like this happening in the Lewis and Auburn area. And I don't think there's anything happening like this at all in the Lewiston Auburn area that's as cross-culturally or cross-demographically appealing and accessible to everybody.
You bridge a lot of gaps,
Yes.
right? Like you bridge gaps that can't be bridged without that community caring setting.
Yeah.
I public speak a lot, and that all looks different, right? Different crowds, different topics, different settings. But one thing that I always do, and I always preface everyone with this, is that I don't stand in front of the room and talk at you. I'm in the
Yeah.
crowd. I'm talking with you. I'm asking questions. We're getting interaction because that's where people connect. And then they can go into who they truly are, what they're really there for. They can get what they're needing. Sometimes they don't even know what they need, right?
Yeah.
So I love that. Like you have the elderly coming, they might not even know that they need that younger interaction, but they're getting it.
Mhm.
So cool because you're creating the space for it, Joe, and that's something that a lot of people don't have, right? Because there's so many barriers to that. And I also want to mention you're being proactive instead of reactive, right?
Mm.
Building this sense of community with law enforcement. And, we don't even need to mention details, but there's so many stigmas around, and you're breaking them in a proactive way versus reactive way of, okay, let's try to, fix a situation that happened. Let's build that sense of trust in community before you even need law enforcement. And then it's there. And it's not this big bad thing. It's, hey, we're here to help you. Let's help.
Absolutely. I mean, the reality is, law enforcement, I'm a detective and obviously I know how to investigate things, but ultimately no investigator is going to be that effective without people willing to talk and share information with you. Right.
Mm.
And, you know, these positive interactions, that trust building in a general scope, right, not necessarily individual based, helps create that atmosphere and environment where then people will feel comfortable. One of the things, our pre-movie activities program is about an hour and a half now. And what I intentionally make sure that I do during that, unless I have to troubleshoot whatever problem has come up, is I am constantly, I'm not talking to people I know. I'm not hanging out with fellow officers. I'm not doing, like, I am intentionally making the rounds, trying to shake and talk to or engage with as many people as I can. Because it's just brief little 2-second snippets probably for all these people. But if I can really come close to touching every single person that came to that event, again, it's just that positive seed. And then maybe who knows where that's going to lead to later on. But no, absolutely. You have to be out there. You have to be intentional about it. You have to want to do it. That's another thing. There's a genuinity. You can't just show up and punch in and check a box with this. Either you want the community interaction or you don't, right? But
Well, it's not just you too. It's like your peers. They're all
yeah,
smiling. They're all
yeah,
happy to be there.
absolutely.
And like even in a moment like, of vulnerability for myself, I looked over and I was like,
Right.
be happy to be here. Like, it was just, and one thing that quietly is so awesome about this event is it supports small businesses. You got
Mm.
Dr. Drew with animals. You have me. You have mom and pop's food trucks. My favorite smoothie place now. I will follow that truck. You have Walmart with free popcorn and water, so you are even giving to the community. You have everyone just super involved. Balloon twisting, Party Palooga, like how I started. Like, and he even has like 3 now, so
Yeah.
people don't have to wait. Like it's just remarkable, and it really keeps a lot of businesses going. In advertisement, I know for me, I grew up I'm very poor.
Yeah.
A lot of my success was just self-driven and just be, anyway, so I have a real heart for being able to have access to those children so they can have me in the back of their mind. And so that's one of the reasons why I now donate my time to the Boys and Girls Club, was because I just miss that interaction. Those people that don't necessarily can access the $25 for a class, or
Yeah.
to drive to me, or, like my mom didn't have a car growing up. My friend Darcy, her mom ran the cheering places. So my mom would send me to her house in the summer, and that's how I would become the athlete. That's the baseline of me being the athlete now.
Yeah.
And so my mom was creative about the access I had to athleticism. So now I'm like, now that I live in my community and I'm an athlete, I'm like, the summer films gave me that opportunity, and then I do art walks and stuff too, but I missed it. It's winter and I'm
Right.
missing those people because they don't have access to me still. And so I'm like, how can I get out there again and get to those people that deserve to know this information? And so that's one of the reasons I recently partnered with them. It's just I missed doing that.
See, Joe,
Well, yeah.
that's a seed that you planted. You see that?
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing, is that you never know what you're doing, how it ripples into so many people's lives. And so, like, we can talk all day about the impact you're making at these events, but you don't even see the impact that you're making. You really don't. It's crazy.
No. Well, one of the things that was important, maybe not initially in my thought process, because I don't have a small business background or anything like that. Initially, I remember I was looking at purchasing all of our own AV equipment just to do this, right? Be self-sufficient. But I also didn't know anything about any of that.
Right.
And
There's
so,
that part.
and I'm glad I didn't, because truth be told, if I would have, the reality is what I would have gotten would have been so cheap, and it would have probably tarnished the event. And I don't know if we'd be still doing it today. But I had my, HPA, Greg Boris was one, one of the earliest partners in this. We came out and we were talking. Initially, it was like I just knew Greg, so I was asked picking his brain on what kind of equipment I should get. And what became very clear to me while we were talking is that I was never going to get the equipment that I need to do this, and that I could never afford it also at that time. But yet here I am talking to a professional who has a production company, a local business, who can do this. And then so that really opened up my eyes. I'm like, well, I shouldn't support local business, right? Support the people here. And in turn, not only am I supporting them, but in terms of the program, we're putting out a much better product. Everybody every vendor that comes in and supports this Lewis's Summer Fun and Films, I'm proud to say that we pay, but I would also share that every single one of them, they're making accommodations for this program. I know that they're knocking down their prices, and stuff like that to make it so that they're contributing as well, is my point to this. And I think that's the neat part of it all, is like it's a local program supported by locals, and then in turn locals supporting locals. A lot of the attention gets focused obviously on the events itself, or like the activities and the movie. But one of the other things that has always been important from the get-go in this program is also having tables, allowing tabling. So it's always been open to any service provider or any entity in this community. We have several that come every year or alternate whatever to table and give out information and share information as needed. Because I think it's also, I'm going to use Maine WIC as an example. A lot of people don't understand how they can utilize their WIC benefits. And one of the things that we did for a couple of years is have information about WIC, but also try and get the good food bus here, because a lot of people don't realize that they can buy fresh produce. And so like just having that, so not having anything to do with kids, but just education about food, how you can pay for it, and then having good, healthy, accessible food right there, that also in turn will accept your WIC payment. So like that was that's really cool. Those are aspects of the program I wish that we could build out more. I wish we could have like a mobile kitchen to have like live cooking demonstrations going, to also teach people like what you can actually do, or how to prepare Brussels sprouts, and that's a whole other layer. Some of these things just obviously haven't come to fruition yet, but I think one of the things is when you have something fun going on, you just naturally have people there. And while they're there and having fun, it's also a great opportunity to get information out, as opposed to saying, come here for this informational thing in which nobody will show up.
Right. That's smart. Oh wow. I love that event. I mean, now you know why I like rave about it. It's so much bigger than just a place I go work. That's so cool.
Love that.
That's cool. I would love to participate too.
How often are the events, and like what time of year? Obviously summer, but
Yeah, so we pretty much we do 5 events every other week on Wednesdays during school summer break.
awesome.
So we've historically have had 5. Some years we've had 6. This upcoming year we'll have 5. Our audience has grown tremendously, from a few hundred people. I would say on average we have about 1,000, 1,200 people per event.
Wow, that is incredible. 1,200 people per event.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I do my first gig, okay, on the rig, right? One, I forgot to consider sweat on my body, so I actually kind of fumbled my first foot walk. I won't lie, which is the actual like basic skill. And it took a second, and I'm in the air. I was like, oh, sweat. It's like not okay. And then I look at the crowd. Now I'm 16 feet in the air, and I just wasn't anticipating the numbers. Like it was crazy. It was the same park that they have the balloon festival in, and this place was packed, packed. And I got to see it from an aerial view, literally. And it was very impactful. It was interesting that I could pause through all that chaos to process what I was looking at. And I was like, whoa, this is happening. And I was like, okay. Because, I work the gig. So I literally one kid at a time, whoever wants or adult at a time, and then I perform. So it was just kind of like a surreal moment, and it was the very first one, and it was because I was kind of stuck, and I got to just look and absorb what was happening. Other than that, after that, I'm pretty tranced.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to see that many people come together like that. It's really impactful. Yeah, he
Yes.
pushes numbers for
Especially
sure.
Lewiston, Auburn area, like that is
Oh,
amazing to
especially,
see.
yes.
Yeah, so cool.
They
That's
need it. Too bad you couldn't do like something with a similar mission in some of the off months. And if you ever want to, you can reach out to me.
No, for
I will
sure. I mean,
support
I've always
such.
kind of had a 12-month vision for the program, but it's ultimately, there's a budget component. There's some things that I just don't feel the need to touch. Like, I think everybody does Halloween to death.
Mm,
So, like, that's nothing
yeah.
that I'm going to get into. Um, but a lot of it obviously is balancing budget. And then I want to make sure that whatever we do as a program, we do it and do it well. So as you know, we've done a lot of capital investments and raising with the LED wall, which is a huge addition, but also a huge cost. Back in the old days, if you will, we had a projector screen rear projection, but the problem with that is daylight is so long during the summer, and even when you think it's dark enough, it's still not dark enough to get that image up on there. And so sometimes, here we are trying to do a youth event, but sometimes it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock before it's like dark enough to finally get the movie going, which, as a parent of a young one, like that's
Mhm.
horrible. That is horrible. So the LED wall just gives us that benefit where now we control time and we don't have to do that. And the other thing is sunlight doesn't, not only do we get to control time, we can even have the sun beaming right directly on the screen, but it's so powerful it penetrates out. So our event used to be a lot more portable and pop-up-ish. Um, the movie side of it is not as portable as pop-up is, but everything else is. So if you go to our field, other than seeing Greg and his team out there probably around 1 o'clock, they have to start setting up now. That which used to not be the case. I would say everybody else, we pretty much stroll in about an hour before
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
just
say.
very quick. But I think that's what makes it fun. It's that little chaos. We have our format. Everybody knows their role, where they're going. There's not necessarily, after you get through the first one, then everybody I think is reorientated. So it's very easy to stand up and do, but it's because there's a lot of people doing it also.
You do plan it out well. You go to these pamphlet things he drives around in his cute little car, and it's spaced well and it's organized by him. And I don't. Did we talk about the car on record? For those
Yeah.
listening, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has a cute little car he drives around that he
Yeah.
currently can't even use, but he does. He has these what are they called? I'm sorry.
A-frames.
A-frames out, and like I said, large field. So it's really well planned, and it makes it helpful for us vendors. And it is like open to so many different vendors and people and opportunities for them to promote what they got going on, like a jumpy house.
Yeah.
That's usually where I try to set up close to. But yeah, this giant jumpy house. And they have specific measurements they have to go by. And, we all just kind of know each other's space now and we go where we need, but you organized it so it was easy to follow.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been, last year we added a hot air balloon, which takes up a lot of space. Very finicky, by the way. Like
Yeah,
the
but it was
amount of
just like,
the amount of weather conditions or how perfect they need to be. I mean, it's very challenging. But at minimum, we are usually able to inflate one and then have people like go inside the balloon and like it's kind of becomes a bounce house. I was surprised because at some point the program is fairly large. I'm like, maybe we're only going to be stuck to a few parks now and not be able to go citywide. But we were able to actually cram all of this into little Pettingill School Park out on College
yeah, that was
Street,
the smallest.
and which I kind of like too because it gives it even that much more of that atmosphere. But no, it's been a lot of fun. I would say anybody listening, if you want to get involved, please don't hesitate to reach out to me through our Facebook page at Lewiston Summer Fun and Films. We want you. Generally speaking, you don't get a no from me. So if anybody's interested in joining us, that's great. But no, I appreciate it. Danielle, your insights. It's been great to hear that. It's just, and I'm looking forward, already it's January and I'm like, oh yeah, I got to start planning now.
Oh, it's like in my calendar. I'm like, I can't wait to because creatively it's so simulating because it's a different movie each time. So I'm just thrilled all summer.
Yeah.
And so now last summer was chaotic. I was injured for one, still pushed through. I was able to, I have a student assistant, so I create paying work for somebody else,
Yeah.
right? And then you provide a stage for some of my students. So, we even had families from Freeport that come now. It's starting to really not just be Lewiston. And so now I'm like, I'm so in it. I'm like, how am I gonna creatively do this one? And like it's January and like it's already like, what I'm gonna teach. Around then I kind of back off teaching a little bit to preserve my body, and just be very strategic. But I'm already top of mind thinking of it. Same.
Nice.
Joe, thank you so much for the impact that you make in the community.
Yes.
Bridging those gaps and just really being proactive because it's all about how can we be proactive versus responsive. We can bridge those gaps ahead of time, make these connections, build that trust in everything that we do, especially in the community, especially in a community like Lewiston Auburn. It's Lewiston Auburn's near and dear to my heart. It's my hometown. So I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you.
Making a career pivot can be overwhelming, but trust me, you're not alone. Hi, I'm Jessica Visick. I specialize in helping professionals like you navigate change with confidence and clarity. Today, I'm offering a free one-on-one consultation to discuss your goals and how we can achieve them together. Don't wait. Schedule your consultation today at yourcareerpartner.net.
Love it. Love it. And hopefully for our listeners, they can take some of that inspiration and realize that like you don't need to have all that paid stuff. It's about finding those gems within your community and like those people and those connections that have these types of opportunities that bring people together. And like that's what it's all about, is us all being in this together to like lean on each other and grow and excuse me. So hopefully this sparks some of those seeds for some of those people listening, because you never know, if someone's listening, maybe their thing will be whatever, however long down the road, just like when you went to Chicago and there was that seed planted. So appreciate you joining us today, Joe. My name is Graham, owner of Valued Productions. You can find me online at Valued Productions on social media. That's VALUD Productions. Same thing, website, valuedproductions.com. Feel free to reach out if you're looking to grow your business. And joined with my co-host today.
Hey everyone, Trinity Baker, mindset coach, motivational speaker. I am passionate about the power of our mindsets and how we can live thriving lives with it. I always have a free 5-day training available on my website, thetrinitybaker.com. Joined here with my co-host.
Hi everyone, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Ariel Jade. You can find me on any platform at this point under Ariel Jade or Ariel Jade Art. I am a mother, so I lead with motherhood and I'm very involved with the community, and I share all sorts of Ariel tips. So I hope everyone can check out arieljade.com. You can live chat with me there. And we are here with our guest today.
Thank you, everybody, thank you for having me. If I could leave my parting message would be is don't be afraid to challenge, don't be afraid to explore. And definitely there are partners, there are plenty of people in this community that will happily get engaged and try whatever it is that you're thinking of if you go out and ask. So if you interested in a program, want to follow, get involved, please come look us up on Facebook at Lewiston Summer Fun and Films. And that's Lewiston Summer Fun and Films. Our first movie night will be here coming up at the end of June.
Love it. Awesome. And then make sure you go follow, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time. If you're listening, definitely subscribe to the Unfiltered Path Podcast. We're on social media, all that good stuff. And we will see you next week on the Unfiltered Path Podcast.